To continue building our game, we're going to add in our timer class so that we can work with it. So leaving it up, if you need to go watch the previous video to go grab the timer and understand how that works, feel free, go and grab it. Otherwise, I'm just going to copy it, go into my program, and say new tab. Now technically what I could have done is I could have even at the file level, I could have just copied the file and pasted it in and put a copy of it inside this project folder, and it would have shown up in my tabs. That's one of the advantages, is I don't need to copy paste and create a new tab. I can even just move the files for things that I don't need to change. So we can paste that in, save it. All right, so now we have the timer. I'm going to close that. Now, going back into our project, we had some issues with the boundaries as it was checking the boundaries. I'm going to put these auto format so it now puts them on separate lines. I want to adjust it a little bit because I don't like when it runs. Right now they're all just falling down, but you can see they get halfway off screen and then they disappear, so they don't fully engage with the margins. So what we can do, let's see, this one is when it's greater than height, but what we really have to do, because the circle is drawing from its middle, this was part of the issue. The code here, if I was using rectangle shaped objects, this would be perfect. But because I'm not, I'm using circles which draw not from their top left corner, but from their middle, I need to adjust things a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I need to move down half of my height. And then when I go back at the top, I only need to return at half of my height. So then now if I watch it run, you'll see that they completely leave and show it. And we could even go through here, and on their speed I'm going to set the speed to 1 here, and you'll watch it goes all the way off, and you can see how it's a very seamless loop happening for putting it on screen. Now if we change this to -1 and run it, we'll see we need to adjust things as well, because they go off screen, but they don't quite come back as they should, because what we're trying to do is we only have to be halfway off screen, not all the way. But then when we put it back on screen, you can see how they're appearing immediately. Well, they're going really slow. Boom, and half is on screen. So we're kind of repeating what we have here. So this is going to be plus h divided by 2. And now if I run it, watch when it wraps onto the screen, we'll see it eases all the way. So this was just kind of bugging me after the last time that we needed to adjust it. And we know that it's going to be the same. Now if I just set this to 0 and put this at -1 here and run it, we can see it gets all the way off screen, but then it appears halfway on screen. So it's the same as what we needed to do there, but now we are using our width values instead of our height values. So if we just add all of these in and set it up, and this is where we'll run it this way and watch when it goes off screen, it should go all the way out. Whoop, shoot, I caught them, and now, well, watch, that pink one, the pink one worked, but the moment I catch them, then they're resetting, because if we look at what my reset does, it sets it to a random falling speed, now X speed, but everything is working. Okay, that's kind of fun. We start out horizontally, then we go vertically. That's not a bad idea. And when you design your game, I want you to think about, how do you want things to move? Do you want them to just move, everything moving in its own random direction, but now now our code works much better for the screen wrapping. And if we didn't want to screen wrap, we could just, when we don't go all the way off, we could make it so that when we're all the way on screen, so if we wanted to bounce, and then we could multiply speed x by -1, so then we create where everything is just bouncing around on screen instead of wrapping on the screen. That's another way to do it. But it's going to be up to you as to how you want to adjust your game, how you want to build the speeds into it. So you can see as I catch things, then they do that. But I'm going to turn off reset here so that when I catch them, they now don't park on the edge of the screen, they go away. And that's kind of what I want. And then we're going to change it. So we're not using 10, we'll probably use a couple hundred objects moving around. But we're going to build how they appear on screen. So instead of starting with one object, we'll just start out with all the objects. We'll start out with 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and build our way up until we have all the objects moving. And that's how we're going to be able to use the timer to adjust the appearance of the objects on screen. Which, if we go to things, once again, if they're falling, well, not O, 0. O and 0 are right by each other on the keyboard, so I do find that sometimes that becomes an issue that I type that in. So now we can see that they're falling and I can catch them and they go away. But watch, the game starts and they're all wherever on screen, all just falling. Which, if I were making my objects just fall like this, I probably would leave the X random, but my Y value, I might want to start them at a number somewhere off screen, something like negative height. But we can see how they all fall on screen. And when they all have the same speed, that's problematic. So if we want to adjust that timing of their appearance, and it's easier to see that timing when they are all moving in a more uniform pattern, and that's what we're going to work on now by integrating the timer into our project. So going back into the main code, I'm going to also just get rid of everywhere that I had the original thing there. Let's just put a return, make it a little bit more readable. So I'm just cleaning up my code. So the new section that I'm going to work with, I will have a timer, and I will just call this, because we might have more timers as we build out a project, and these are things, I'll just call it thing timer. Now I'm going to set a few other variables now that I'm going to be using as we move forward. So we'll have a variable to store the things that we're working with, how many, because when we do that, it makes it easier to go through everything. Instead of tying it to things length, we're just going to have a number that we put in there. Instead of having 10, we're going to have it our number of things. And there will be times where we will be checking against that. And then we're going to have the interval at which the things are all going to start appearing. And then we will have the active things that we've added into our project. So, because we'll start out that none will be moving, and then our timer will ping, it'll be complete, and then we'll add, make active things become 1, so we'll have 1 item on screen. Timer will be complete again, then 2, 3, 4, etc. as we build out our project. So our number of things, we'll start it out, and I'm just going to just throw in a random number like 100. And my thing interval, I'm going to set that, initially we'll just start it out at a second. And anytime we, With underlined red, I'm like, why? Oh, I misspelled it when I first made it. Interval. So I forgot that. But as we're doing this, all these things, timing, numbers of things, speed things move, this is all how you customize. It's like turning little knobs and sliders until you get that perfect sense of gameplay that makes it fun, right up to the point of almost being annoying, but fun, that you're able to enjoy it. You feel the challenge. It's not too easy. It's not too hard. And this is active things. Boy, we're having lots of typo issues going on here. And then I'm going to have my thing timer. It's going to be a new timer, and it will be based on the thing interval. And we're storing, well, new timer, 2 words. We're storing thing interval as a number because what if we want to change it later on while the program's going? Well, it's a variable. We can do that. We can then reset thing timer with a new value, so we could maybe make it that they start appearing faster and faster and faster. That would be something that we could do. Now, instead of hard coding in my new thing, I will just say num things, like that. And then I can even change all these things' length to my number of things, or I can leave it. Both are going to be okay for what we are doing right now. Now comes the time to integrate our timer into our project here. So just putting some comments inside my draw here as we work with it. So what I want to know is if my thing timer is complete. So we call the timer method complete. So if that's true, then we are going to do something. And notice we're going to start our practice of putting comments on our closing curly so we know what goes with what, because when we start putting ifs inside of ifs, it does make it a lot easier to keep them straight as we work with it. So now if my active things is less than my number of things, now if you've changed your thing to be something else, creature, bad guy, enemy, or whatever, you can rename your variables to match that. But because I'm trying to just keep it generic here with things, because I don't want to make, I just want it to be a generic class that we can then make the thing whatever we want it to be. So I'm trying not to prejudice your thoughts on that so that you do come up with your own item. And then we tell the timer to start over again. So we take our active things, we add to it. So it started at 0. The first time the timer is done, it becomes 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. And then the timer starts. Now, this is where the fun part comes in. Instead of using things length here, what we're going to do is we only need to cycle through however many are active. So we have the items that we're catching, and we're making them active or alive or participatory in our project. So if I hit run, see we have 1 and then 2. There. So we can see every second we're adding 1 more. Now, that seems a little bit on the slow side, so maybe I want to change this to a ½ second. So I go here, and now you can see it starts populating. But that works a lot better than having all of them drop in a single wave. So they're all moving at the same speed, but because they're now dropping kind of sequentially, we're adding to that mix, that makes it, I would argue, a little bit better. Now going into our things, if we wanted to give them random speeds, we could do that. So then they start moving, some are going up, some are going down. It depends. Oh, and we probably don't want to start their position at -8. Yeah, let's start them. We could start them somewhere on screen here, but so now they can just appear anywhere on screen and then start moving, which makes it interesting as they start going. If you want it to start off screen, you have to do that, but you have to figure out the speed as you work with it so that it doesn't look odd. Now you can see as we catch them, we still get that little kind of green overlay, and I caught everything. All right. So we're able to use the timer to control when things appear on screen. So that's pretty cool as we build out the project. But if we wanted to adjust it so we don't just tell the thing timer to start, maybe we want to have it start out slow and then get faster and faster and faster. That would be another way we could do it. So if you like this right now, save this as a block of code. But we also could adjust our thing timer. And the way to think about it is we want to adjust that interval. So if I want my interval as I work with it to start out high, so instead of having my interval at 500, maybe we'll just start out at 2000. And now if we run it, you'll see that that's really slow because first one item, 2 seconds later we get the next item. Probably need to tweak the speed a little bit. It's kind of funny that almost all of them are coming in really slow. Might want to boost up their speed options, but it's a start. So I'm going to go into the timer stuff here, and what we're going to do is we're going to then modify it a little bit so that as they appear, our thing interval changes. So I'm going to say if my thing interval is less than 100, a couple curly braces, close out a curly brace, always making sure I have that. So if, I just realized that I want this needs to happen inside my complete. So inside my complete here, it's auto format so it's indented. All right, so inside my complete here, what we're going to do is say I want my thing interval, if it's less than 100, I want my thing interval equal to 100. Now, what we will next do is go else. I want my thing interval to become, and sometimes it's hard to think and type at the same time, I want it to reduce itself by 100. And these numbers here, 100, we'll play with it a little bit to figure out what is the ideal amount. And then we just tell thing timer. It's now a new timer based on thing interval. So essentially we're overriding what was in it. We didn't create a new variable, we just overrode its contents with a new instance of the class, and then we run it. So now if we hit go, you'll see 1 shows, then 2, 3, and what you'll realize is they're starting to get closer. They're happening more frequently and more frequently. Now they're moving pretty slow, and then suddenly we get down to 100 and it's like, whoa. So we might not like that. Maybe we want to adjust it. So we start out at 1,000, and then we can even go down. We can adjust it where maybe we don't drop by 100, we drop by 50. But even if we start out here, after 10, You'll see how they get closer and closer. So the game, suddenly becomes really fast, which is kind of fun because now you're like really having to work it. So that would work well if you're doing a collection method. Now if we set it up so that they have all random speeds as they move around on it, then that really starts to, because you're like, whoa, whoa, and if your goal is to avoid things, but they're appearing on screen, and then so it probably is better to be collecting items when we're using this kind of decrease in speed. But whatever you choose to do on it, you can figure out how you want to go about doing that. So we're using the timer as a way to better control how things play out inside our game. Next, we're going to look at, now that I've caught everything, how can I reset the process? What we're going to add next is allowing the mouse to be pressed. So I'm just going to go underneath my draw between clear background. We're going to make a new method, and it'll be mouse pressed. So what that does is that, so mouse pressed, you see how it turns, it turned pink for a second, but we are able to set a value as mouse pressed, but we also have the method. The method for mouse pressed is whenever I press the mouse, then we're going to make it do something. So what I want to do is find out, once everything is active inside it. Now we could be tracking a score. So we could have a score value, or we can track our, actually that would probably be better, is we have a score value versus just setting it, because then we could, once everything's active, even if I haven't caught them, I could click and reset the game, which is how I was thinking about it, but that's not good. So what we want to do is, here, let's go add a new value, and it will be our score. Using what we've learned about drawing text on screen, after we update our objects, now what I'm going to do is make a section inside my draw for text. We'll come back to mouse pressed in just a moment. So what I will say is text size, and my text size, we'll make it 36 pixels, so medium sized. By default, text align is left, so we don't have to set that. If we know we're setting text align, we're putting some text centered, sometimes left, right, whatever, it's not a bad practice to just to reset it here, just to verify that it is. And it should turn purple because we're typing a constant, left, center, right. These are constants that are set in the language for us. And so I've said my size, I've said my alignment, and now the color that I wish to use, we'll just make it white. And finally, we'll use our text command, and now I can just simply say score, colon, space, close quote, put a plus, and then I'll put in my score value, whoop, close out, and then do it. Oh. And it's giving me an error. String, float, float. Well, duh, I have to put it on screen. So I'm going to indent 50 pixels, and then I need to come down. And I'm just going to come down 100 pixels. So that now puts my text on screen. We run it, we'll see that it now shows that value. Now if that, if I don't like that and want to shorten it, I can go 50, so I'll say 50. And notice how the score sits on top of everything, so things are moving behind it. And that's because score is the last item inside my draw function, so it's the last thing it draws on screen for us. So now look at that, our score isn't going up yet. Well, I caught everything, but my score is 0. Well, that's easy enough. We can just simply go here under our intersect loop, and if there's an intersection where we tell the thing it's caught, we can just go score plus plus. That's it. Let's rerun this. Now, as I start catching things, look, my score goes up. Now, theoretically, we're winning. And if I get up to interesting. I mean, our score should be there's 100 things that are popping up on screen, so theoretically it should be 100. But the score got up to 201 because, so I've caught a few things, but if I go over, if we remember where we parking the objects, we're putting them on the side of the screen. If I go off to the side over here, you can see I'm effectively, wow, I'm really maximizing the score. So we're going to have to adjust things a little bit. So we'll deal with that in a moment, but that's why it was going up. But that's okay. We can very quickly win the game without having to make them all go away now, which is going to be kind of nice too. So our score can go up. So what we can do inside our mouse press is say if my score, not scroll, that a common typo, SC, when you try and do score is to do it that way. Score, if my score is equal to, but what we're going to do is do greater than or equal to, so then I don't have to be as precise when I get at my number of things. So it should be trying to get to 100. So once we get to 100, because that's our number of things, that means we have done something. So now what we need to do is we need to perform a reset on the game. Now, I can list everything that I'm going to do here inside my reset. Now, this isn't the reset inside of thing. We'll be calling the reset on our things, but this isn't the reset on our thing. And the reason we're doing this is later on, we're going to be calling reset from potentially more than one place inside our game. So it makes sense right now to just separate it out. It's easy enough. So now we call reset. But also when I press the score, we might want to do a couple of different things. And because we will be calling reset in our next iteration of this game from a couple places, we might as well just separate it out now. Well, the first thing I want to do is say active things is equal, not double equal, it's equal to 0. And then I want to reset my thing interval. So we'll reset that, because remember we were dropping that. Now, it's not, setting things to 0, that's okay, but when we're setting it to a number that we sometimes are changing, because I may decide, oh, I want it to be 1,000 or 2,000, probably should be referenced in a variable here, but right now we'll just hard code it in and hope that we keep that, because otherwise if we're changing a value in more than one place, that does become problematic. And finally, we need to tell each one of our things to reset itself. So we have to use our loop. And we just do the standard. Now we could copy paste the loop from elsewhere in our code and then just change the guts of it. That's faster, but it's not, end of the world to retype it. So now we tell all of our things to reset. So let's try and run it. We'll see how this works. So if I catch something, go here, gonna run the score up. Okay, we ran, now that I ran the score up, I can reset it. I'm used to, it should be after I've caught everything. And the thing now turns them all into just negative drops. Probably also, notice my score. I need to reset my score each time so then I can play the game. So this is as you build out your thing, what you're going to find is there's variables that you may forget that you have to update. So we now set score back to 0. And now let's rerun it. Get a few things going here. And now we can run it up, can reset, goes back to 0. And I'm clicking the mouse, nothing happens until I get up to 100. Now I can click and it resets. Okay, so that's good. We just need to modify the things here so that they are no longer able to be messed with or caught. So once we've caught them, we want them to no longer be caught. Because we can say our x is minus 100 or minus 1000, but they're on screen here. So what we need to do is we need to have a way to make it so that they're active or not. I'm just going to stop this because it seems like it's kicking my computer into overdrive. So we'll give them a variable called active. And we'll just put it at the end of the list here. And active will start out at true. But when we're caught, well, we'll just use this line right here. Active is now equal to false. But when we are reset, and this is where we have to remember to do things, active is now equal to true. Okay. Now what we can do is modify it. So we could even do something like if active, or if double equals true. So remember, when we're doing a conditional, if we're asking a true statement, we can just go like this, and that says if active is true. So we don't have to put the equal true, but we can. That's the more verbose way of doing it. And then I will take that, put that here, auto format. So now if we're active, we bother checking the bounds. If not, we don't try to push it on screen. So now I can't, after I catch something, I can't find them. I can't get my cursor off screen. I can't do it. So now I will have to indeed catch everything to be able to reset it. So this is one way we're kind of creating what is going to become part of our next phase, which is we're creating a state for our things. They're active or they're not. So they have two versions of their state. But we're going to even work on state control for our whole program so we can have a start screen. Then we can play the game. Then we can win. Then we can lose. And each one of those will be a different state. And at each of those states, we display different content. We display the game, or we display instructions, or we display a congratulatory message, or we display a consolation message when you lose. So we are able to control the flow of our project. So using timers, cleaning up our boundaries, adding in two states to our thing, it's active or it's not, and then working with that, we can now reset the game by simply pressing the mouse. Now we didn't care where we pressed anywhere on screen. So if we're going to use mouse pressed, we can, and this is what we'll look at, is where we can create a button area, which will use some version of kind of our circle intersect. It's that same logic where, hey, did I click where my button is? And if so, then I do something because maybe there's more than one button on screen. So we can do different things, and that's what we will look at in upcoming videos. Good luck and have fun.